All right, this video is about all things purchase orders. We're going to cover what is a purchase order, how does it interact with BuildExact's cost tracking screen, how does it differentiate from a work order. We'll have a look at sending them, the conditions that we put on them, how to get a summary of the orders. We'll have a look at receiving, which is literally just confirming with BuildExact how much something cost. And we will touch on the accounting element of it here and there. Note there is a whole video just on the accounting connection and all the different cases and options you have. The reason this gets a mention here is if you are connecting to accounting or intend to, we can take through the cost when we indicate that something is received. We can take that into your accounting. And there's also ways to pull those costs back from your accounting if that's something you're interested in. Now, the first thing I'll just touch on before I get into the meat of this is a really common misconception. People hear the word purchase orders and they go, oh, hey, I don't send those. I just call up and then material arrives and I track how much it cost. Do you support that? And the answer is yeah, 100% we do. Sending is an optional step. I really like it for the sake of record keeping and clear communication, but you don't have to use it. What BuildExact cares most about is the receiving part, because that drives our cost tracking. It also pushes into your accounting system if you're connecting with one. So that aside, let's get into the meat of it and go through. So part one to cover, purchase orders versus work orders. And I should add in there really how do both of those things play into the actual costings, because this is all one big combined topic. I'll start this with the actual costing. So actuals costing is the summary of what you've spent. It gets here when you create the estimate and it brings all the budgets from that estimate into the actual costings for tracking. The way we do track costs in here, or more accurately manipulate the screen, is we process purchase orders, work orders, request for quotes also can adjust this, and variations can too. So we are using one of those four mechanisms to track cost, or track changes as well on the job in the case of variations. Specifically on orders, the purchase order is designed for suppliers, subcontractors, or really anyone else who's sending you an invoice for what they're doing, whether it be supplying material or working for you, installing things, doesn't matter. Purchase orders are for the people who send you invoices. And the main distinction here is that purchase orders can sync to your accounting system if you want them to. And in your accounting, we send them through as bills to be paid. So if you've got someone on salary who's doing, just logging timesheets, they would not be a purchase order because they don't go through as a bill to be paid in your accounting, which leads me into work orders. The most common uses for work orders are for timesheets, and we have the option, and there's other videos that talk about this, to connect with a few different timesheeting apps, and we also have our own one. Work orders can be used to enter manual timesheets, or literally anything that's an internal cost to the business that doesn't need to be seen in accounting as a bill to be paid. So from here, let's look at purchase orders. How do we go about starting the process? How do we send them? And as mentioned, and I'm going to mention again, you don't necessarily need to send purchase orders. So I'm going to go Windows. This is a subcontractor quote I'm responding to. My rule of thumb is if an item exists in the actual cost screen, doesn't matter if I'm going to do a purchase or work order or variation or request for quote, I always start by finding it and clicking it. I could click 20 things across multiple categories. That's fine too. But if it exists, I do it this way so that the system knows, hey, the change in the case of variation or the order I'm doing, link everything for that back to these lines that I'm picking. There's naturally going to be exception cases. The most notable one is you buy something you forgot to budget. How do you get that added in? And you can go to the purchase order, work order, request for quote, variation tabs. All the process is the same for all of them. You can go to that tab and start one just from scratch. If you do it this way, and I'm not going to focus on this way, but it has its uses here and there. if you do it this way, the most important thing to point out is the actuals category. It knows, because it's starting from scratch, it knows nothing about what you're doing. And you've got to tell it the item, the cost, and most importantly, which category to put it against. The reason for highlighting this is if you don't fill it out, it just goes, I don't know, and makes a new category called order number, whatever it is. And if you have a lot of them, it's a bit of a mess and it's a pain to clean up. So I really push people to do the right thing from the start. Now back to here, I'm going to go Windows, order item. I could add it to an existing order in some cases is relevant. You can only add it to orders that are not sent, I should say. So in this pending status. So grab, open, add order. And on the topic of statuses, I'm going to quickly run you through. So for this first one, I'm going to send the purchase order. So I'm going to be going through it and the end result, the status will say sent. If you don't intend to send purchase orders, you completely skip this sending bit and you just go to received. If you send the order and then later receive it, you'll go through these sending and receiving steps kind of in order like here. Naturally, there's a cancelled one in the case that the order gets cancelled. If you do this, it just removes the cost of this from everywhere, but keeps it as a record. So top to bottom, in getting ready to send this, I would go Windows. This is 100% for me. The only exception to this rule is if it's a cost plus project you're doing, we use these on the invoice so the client sees what all the costs are for. But otherwise, totally for you. Sometimes it'll know who the contact was, like this time where it's a quote request, it knows who the winner was. Other times would be if you used a catalog and then buy the items, it will know who the supplier was. So for me, I'm going to say Dan C and delivery to. So this should be automatic. And if it's not, it's because there's no address in the job details tab and you should probably update that. Attention. I've obviously been doing some testing with this, but this will automatically pop in the case that there's different people, like under the contact you might have ordering, you might have accounts. This is how you select between those two people. And if there is only one, it doesn't fill it out. Date required. So when do you need it? So pretty soon, in fact, in a couple of days. As a side note, some users don't use this and it's not mandatory. Some will send the order and in the instructions talk to the, say something like, hey, we're just lining up for this project for the materials or whatever it be. Exact date for when we need them is TBD. So don't write TBD into this box. It will not be happy with it and say invalid date. But if you do want to go with that TBD approach, just put it in instructions. All right, let's go there. And on the topic of instructions, this could be, delivery via rear of site. Could be, hey, John's the foreman, supervisor, call him for problems. It could be, hey, confirm this when you receive it. If you're going to write the same stuff a lot, presets here are really good. And we have definitely had people with presets per supervisor in larger companies where it has the phone number and name of each person. Awesome. Going on down, this is what we're actually ordering from them. And there is a notes field if I want to add extra stuff. So sometimes you'll go, in response to your quote 1000, or it could be if you are ordering timber and you want to say all 6 meter lengths, please. A little bonus point here, I should save this and get out and come back in. The notes on the order get automatically pulled from here. So one thing that I just like is if you are, my memory gets prompted by all kinds of random things. If I'm thinking, when I order the windows, I've got to tell them whatever, pop it in here. And when you do create the purchase order, it'll steal that note and put it on there, specifically in that notes tab. And I'm also going to use this as a bit of a side journey to show you how to get back into a purchase order if you've left it. Number one, click on anything blue and they all pop open and you can see this is Dan C's order 41. Click it, opens it up. Additionally, you can go purchase orders and see the whole list and pick from there. You can also go jobs and all orders and see the whole list for the entire account and pick from there. Personally, I use this one. All right. Now, as I go to send it, I need to consider whether I want to show the cost. In the case of a quote, I would generally go, this is a figure they've guaranteed me. I want to confirm it back to them. There's a lot of other cases where you go, they don't need to know my budget, and you just leave it off, which it is off by default. If I get all that together and I'm ready to send it, you would go save and send. If you're doing this for like the first time where you're just playing with it, honestly, I go save and close instead. For new users, and once you're a power user, save and send is fine. But save and close, what that allows you to do is go to the orders, purchase orders tab, print it, check it, view it, basically see that it's fine before you issue it. So I'm going to go print and PDF. And this is what it's presenting. So the more information you have for a contact, the more we show here. It's got things like delivery, created, order number. The order number is bold just because if we get an invoice from a supplier or a subcontractor, ideally they would list this number, and that helps us a lot. Down further, I didn't have the costs on, but if you did, it would be the cost on the line and then a total below it. And then we get terms and conditions. So going on from here, I'll cover two things. One is the conditions, how do you mess with them? And then how do you get a summary of all the orders if you need this for site? Oh, and before I do that, I should mention, I can go email, which is the same as save and send, and it takes me into this same flow to get ready to send it. When I do send it, I have heaps of choices, CCing people, adding notes, etc. And if I send it, which I will just for fun, it will mark this status as sent when it refreshes, like so. And that, to me, no questions, I've sent it to the supplier. If you really want to, if you really have a situation where you want to triple check has it been sent, you can use this little email up here, and it just shows stuff that's been sent. This is really just a short list of the entire communications. Generally, I use the communications more than this little guy, but both are good. All right, so we've sent it, and we need to cover off the conditions in the order list. Little gear icon here. If you're looking in any of the jobs section screens and you see a cog, click it, have a look what it does. We hide heaps of good reporting and export options in here. So it's worth just having a look and going, oh, I wonder what that is. You can manage your conditions, suppliers versus contractors. They're all preset. What it does as far as knowing which one to use is it looks at this contact. It checks back in the contacts area, and you'll see that I've got this little toggle. Each of these guys has a group assigned to it. So side point is when you create contacts, either in the contacts screen here, or you can even create them new for purchase orders, which I should very, very quickly show you. If I was doing a new order and I've got into the screen one way or another, if it doesn't find a match, it'll ask if you want to add them. So if you do this, this contact group, super important because it dictates the conditions we give them. It also has impact for your accounting, depending on how you're connecting with it. Lovely. All orders list. This is just a summary list. I think it's really good to have on site. We have people who share it into the on-site app. We have people that print it, whatever suits you. It's basically a summary of all of the purchase orders for this job by status. So it's not super clear because I've just got one, but you would have a group and totals for sent ones, a group and total for received ones, cancelled ones, etc. And it's just nice to know, like, what is the order number for each supplier? When's it expected? That kind of stuff. Righto, so we've sent that now. Time's going to go by and we will get a bill for it. So if I go back into this purchase order, when the time comes to record the cost, or you receive the bill, and sometimes you pay on the spot at the store. So I go into this next step of receiving whenever I know the final amount that I'm paying out. But I'm going to go into Windows, use this status to go received. As mentioned at the start, if you'd never sent it, you would enter all the details and go received as your first step. But I'm going to go received. It pops open and goes, sweet, this is what we expected. What actually happened? Tell me the end result. So reference number is intended to be the receipt number or the invoice number. End goal is we want a number inbuilt exact that correlates with a number on the physical receipt or the charge, so that we can match them if we need to and cross compare them. Some suppliers use the world's longest receipt numbers, so ... last 4 digits, also good. You'd be pretty unlucky to double that up. And then on the topic of doubling, it says duplicate here because it has an order somewhere else in its history of this number, or with this reference number. There's pretty legit cases where you may have to use the same number twice. So especially contractors, if they bill you in separate lumps, they may just use the same invoice number. But the main thing here is it's trying to flag it exists somewhere. It's okay if it does, but we're trying to catch where you're not really paying attention. You enter something twice, and just give you a gentle nudge that could be there. Invoice date. This is important to keep on top of, and you can backdate stuff if you need to, like when did the invoice actually come in. This will go to your accounting, and your accounting system, if you're connected, will use this date to figure out payment terms. Notes could be like paid on credit card, or it could be partial delivery. Could be anything. In fact, that takes me very nicely into the next point, which is the receiving, part receiving versus full receiving, and putting the dollar figures in. So quick point on this. If this wasn't a material order, it may have started its life looking like this, a whole bunch of them at $1.20. Ultimately, we don't really care how the quantity gets entered. So if you want to do a lump of one lot of that amount, totally fine. If it is a material order and it started like that, like I had a second ago, you're more than fine to just go, actually, we got 500 and it cost us $1.10. Doesn't really matter. Total cost is really, really what we care about. Awesome. So yeah, part received versus full received. If this was a quote for Windows and I'm purchasing it, odds on I'm going to pay a deposit on it. So I'm going to say 0.1 here to indicate it's a 10% deposit. Equally so, you can just go one lump of whatever number they've kind of come up with. As always, doesn't really matter. I'm going to do it this way, 10%, 0.1. And I'm going to say part received. So part received is, there's more to come, basically. I'm logging that this payment's happened, and it'll get tracked as its own payment or own record of expense. I would use the green markers received when it's the last one. So in this case, I do a few part received, and then the final one, fully received, that's the end of the journey. There's going to be a lot of cases where you don't use part received, and in that case, you're just going to use received to say, this is the one and only expense for this thing. So if I do go part received, it's a pretty soft difference between them, by which I mean it says all items have been received. If all items have been received, click below. If you need to make changes, click part received, so you can go between them like that. When it's part received, as it shows up here, you can edit, delete, add more of them. Once it's received, that's the end of the road. No further changes. So if I'm adding multiple ones like this, I just come back into this order the exact same way. I hit add to add another record of it, and it knows the drawdown balance. And I might go, Well, actually, it was supposed to be 1350, but they made a mistake. It's 1320 or 13200, sorry. You can always adjust from what the original budget or its additional idea was. Lucky last couple of points here. I like the idea of keeping documents handy. And if you add documents, so like the emailed receipt, drag it in from wherever, we'll keep this on hand, and you can have as many as you want. There is a bonus thing for accounting, which is that we can sync the documents with your accounting system. And as mentioned elsewhere, this is there is a whole other video just for accounting that covers this in so much more detail. Lovely. Well, that's a lot of information. Hopefully it's all made sense. Definitely go play around with it, get used to it, see how it feels to use, and let us know any questions. But yeah, reach out as you need to. Thanks so much.